$813.38. That's what we made week 3. Best week of the series so far. I think we're like 7.38% done, somewhere in there. But yeah, great start to paying off my wife's vehicle. As you can see, a little different background. I'm a bachelor for the night. The wife and kids are gone, so living the dream by myself. Sadly, it's very lonely and boring and quiet. I got 4 kids, so it's very quiet when the house is empty. I don't like it. But yeah, so we're doing the recap video from the house instead of the farm office. It was a good week. It was a crazy week. A lot of turmoil with SPX this week, which was good. Helped elevate some premium. We were able to get pretty far out the money on our normal 3-4 delta spreads that we can make 15-20 bucks on. So pretty low stress there. And it was a fun week. We had SpaceX today, and I bought a share, just one for now. I am looking forward to buying more when it comes. I'm guessing, I know it's going to be under 100 at some point, and I'm going to wait until it's under 100. I don't know when, but it's going to get there, and that's when I'll probably start buying, actually, like my real amount of shares that I want to buy. But it's IPO day. I'm going to hold that share forever, so I bought it in a long-term account that is kind of like a secondary account. It's a very small account that it's all automated. I look at it once a quarter just to make sure everything's good on it. So that one's just going to sit there forever. That's going to be passed down to my kids, so I don't really care what I mean, I think it's going to go up, but 164.99 is what I got in today on that one share. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to buying more, but it's going to be, it might be a handful of years. Sometimes it takes a while, but it will be under, SpaceX will be under $100. And then, like, I had a comment on a short today, my daily short of what I did for trading, and someone was like, oh, it's the biggest money dump on retail, blah, 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 blah. And at some point he will be right, because yeah, I mean, I could see it going down all the way down to like 60. But long term, I don't think he's right. I think, or she, whoever it was, I'm pretty sure it was a he. But long term, I believe in it. I think it's going to be crazy. I think space, it's not the exploration of space. It's not the Mars. It's not all. It's what whoever owns space can own the world. And it's been that way. It's even more so now in today's world than it was back in the space race with Russia. And I think Space Force, SpaceX, getting this country back into space is going to be huge for our safety and well-being as a country. And like I said, I think whoever owns space will continue to own the earth. And so I think that's America. I'm very pro-America, and I believe that Space Force will be SpaceX will be a massive company. I think it's going to be more of a data company than anything. It's not going to be it's like how when people are like, oh, Tesla is just a car company. SpaceX is not we're bringing people to Mars. Like, SpaceX is going to be so much more, just like Tesla's so much more than cars. And honestly, I think they'll merge at some point. And it's, yeah. So anyway, I agreed with that comment kind of, because I do understand that that's how IPOs work. I mean, the last IPO that was remotely close with retail was Coinbase. And you can see that. I mean, I think from what I remember, I think that was in the 300s when that started. And Coinbase got all the way down to like what, 40, I mean, yeah. And I'm sure Anthropic, I'm going to do the same thing with Anthropic. I'm going to buy one share on IPO day just for the cause, and then I'll wait and buy more later when it drops. I have a long time horizon, and like I said, I'm holding these shares forever. These are in the long-term account. I build my accounts to where, if a single stock goes to zero, it's not going to matter. I'm not that overweight on anything. My biggest thing was Palantir. I had a lot of shares at $7. I scaled out of them throughout the years because I don't like being so comfortable. I mean, Palantir went up to 200 some bucks, and so when you have a bunch at 7 and it goes to 200, you kind of got to scale out because you get pretty overweight in a company. And I still think Palantir is going to keep going up. That's why I still have shares. So SpaceX they did a great job on the IPO too. Like the trading range on that was like pretty solid for today. It wasn't, once it started, we waited till the euro pours, couldn't trade it. I think that was done on purpose. Screw Europe, right? And I think it started basically 160 and got up to 170 something, down to 150. There was no crazy wild swings, which I know like intraday that is wild, but on IPO of the most crazy, I mean, your grandma was talking about SpaceX today. So that range was a kind of a surprise, but a welcome surprise. And what's super exciting is they're talking Tuesday is when options come out on SpaceX. Now, what I love as an option seller is it's going to be super high IV. So we're going to be able to, let's just say it holds through the weekend and Monday finishes trading. I think it closed at like 161 today. Let's just say by Monday close, we're at 161, same price. We got options coming out Tuesday. I mean, those weeklies, we're going to be able to sell 15, 20% down from spot and still make, $30, $40, which that's my type of trading. I don't like to take the crazy risk. I don't like to do close to the money. I like, give me one standard deviation, which is usually like 16 delta. 1 to 2 standard devs is what I like to sell puts on. And then if you do that, 2 weeks in a row, I sold this week, one standard deviation was 126 on Palantir. I rolled that up to 127 during the week. And then I rolled that today to 118 next week, which was a 1 standard deviation. So we were already almost down to the 1 standard deviation this week because I think it closed at like 128. So we were $1 off. And so we're at 118 now. So next week, on Thursday, because there's no trading Friday, when that closes, if we're down to 118, 119, somewhere in there, that's when I'll probably roll halfway, basically like a 35 delta. So not quite a 1 standard deviation, so we'll go down from 118 to, I think at that point, the standard deviation would be 110. So we'd probably only roll it down like $4 or $5 or, $3 or $4 down to that 114, 115 range, collect a little bit more premium because 2 weeks in a row, we would have been close to that 1 standard deviation move. So at some point, a stock like that will likely, catch a bounce or at least, hit a wall. And that's when you want to take advantage of a little more premium. So you just gotta watch. I kind of trade the same stocks. I know how they move. I know what, if I'm looking at a 1 standard deviation move and it's paying more, then I know, hey, I probably got to go a little bit lower. Or if it's not paying as much, then I know I can go a little bit higher. You can kind of base it once you kind of get your circle, your trading circle. I don't know what it's called. You can there's a term for it where you have your circle. You kind of look at that same thing every day, so then you know when it's a good deal. Like say you want to buy a truck. Okay, you want to buy, like for me, I want to buy. In the next year, I want to buy a 3500 gas truck. And so now I know it's not going to be this year. Ideally, I'm going to get this car paid off. If not, but if I can get a good deal, I'll buy it before I get this car paid off. And then we'll start paying both car loans. But ideally, get this car paid off. But for the last month, and then up until 6-8 months from now, when I probably will maybe start being a little more serious about buying it. Right now, every week I'm looking at prices. So I know that like in May, at the end of May, that truck So those trucks that I was looking at were on sale 10% off MSRP, but no special finance rate. Well, then June came, and it's June truck month. So they're only 7% off MSRP, but now they're giving a 4.9% 60-month term on the heavy duty 3500s. Well, I got good credit. I got 800 plus, so I can get that 4.9% whatever I want. So then I can be like, hey, I know you guys can sell it for $2,000 cheaper. And if they're not, that's fine. Then I can wait. But you kind of know by trading the same stuff, you kind of know what you're looking at. You can see a little variation on how stuff works. So super excited for SpaceX to join that window. Hopefully, my hope is it doesn't go above 200. I love, like, Palantir is like a perfect stock because it's got high beta. You're in the team. If you get assigned shares, you're in that right now. I should say it's a perfect stock because it's right now you're in the 110 to 170 range. So you're $11,000 to $17,000 on an assignment, which is great. You start getting into Tesla, which is fine. It's very high premium, all that stuff. But then you're looking at $40,000, and like, can I? Yeah, but then you got to go a little higher delta to get that premium because you have less capital to expand elsewhere. So hopefully SpaceX stays right in that range. It'll be interesting to see what we're going to be safe on it for a while, kind of like I said, so we can monitor it, see, okay, this is what a normal standard deviation move is. Normal week you can expect 50 cents, just basically you got to monitor it. So we're going to be safe, we're going to monitor it, we're going to make some money, and we're going to keep going. And let's see, like I said, we're 7% done on this car loan through 3 weeks. So that's awesome. We're well on our way. My goal was, obviously the minimum goal was the 3 years. So 156 weeks. I would be pretty annoyed if it took 156 weeks to get this car paid off. Like I said, I don't need to do this to pay it off. I could pay it off right now if I wanted to, and it's in the monthly budget if I wanted to not trade and just pay it off that way. But this is I like trading. I like making money, extra money, and I don't buy really anything. So we're just gonna use that money, and then we can keep more money and long-term invest more and put more into the farm and let my kids have more money to spend and let my wife have more money to spend. And I'm a simple man. I don't need much. I work like 90 hours a week anyway, so I don't have time to do anything other than work and eat, which my wife makes perfectly good meals, way better than anything that you'd get at a fast food restaurant or a regular restaurant. My wife's way better than that, so I don't really need to spend money. Just need to make it. But yeah, so goal for next week, like every week, we're hopefully just going to be another $600 a day or $600 week at minimum. We made almost $300 today. We got a good roll, or we got a good cash secured put on Adobe. We're already over 50% credit on that. They had earnings. They tanked again. They've been tanking all year. Actually, I kind of wouldn't mind getting the shares at 185. I'd probably roll one more time down to like 175, but I think Adobe's due for a bounce. It's not something I would want super long term. I do think it can bounce up to 300 probably, but it's just not. I don't know. It's not in my wheelhouse. And AI. Why do you need Photoshop? I mean, Grok does pretty good AI. You have to prompt him like 17 times, but he gets it. Or whatever, Grok, whatever it is. But yeah, so, and then, okay, so we got the payment, we got the first 2 weeks done. So this week, that was enough to, in the first 2 weeks, that was enough to make the first payment total. That technically wasn't due until July 11th, but we could pay it early, so we paid that early. So we got one payment done, and then after this week 3, we made enough to fulfill our second payment, but we can't fulfill that until the first payment due date passes. So come July 12th, we can fulfill that second payment. So what I'm doing, I know I've kind of talked about it in the past, and I didn't exactly know how this bank was going to work. Every other car loan I've done through my credit union, and they just let you pay. You can actually pay a whole year in advance. So then if you made 12 straight payments, you'd be a year in advance, and you wouldn't owe an actual payment for a year. Interest would accrue every day on the principal for that year, but you wouldn't technically have to pay. But since to get the 1.9% rate, I had to go through Subaru, which went through Chase, I believe. They let you make the payment, and then you got to wait until the payment's due date is passed before you can make another actual like monthly payment. So the only thing you can do in between then is principal payments. So how we're going to work it now, at first I was like, okay, we'll just save money, make the payment, and then save the money in a money market. And then when we get enough, and then just take the payment out every month. And then when that money market gets big enough to hit the payoff, we're going to just pay the whole thing. And I know technically that's the right math, but like mentally, I like to see my money market stay here and my principal balance go down. I don't want to see my principal balance slowly go down while my money market goes up to meet it. I don't know. It's just more of a mental thing. I'm not, like I said, I could pay this loan off yesterday. I didn't even have to take it, but I like having a reason to trade instead of just putting money into it's like, cool, I made $100, don't really need it, just throw it in the bank account, throw it in the long-term account. Like having something like this is fun and motivating, and it gives a goal, and I'm a very goal-orientated person, and so I like seeing that principal balance go down. So what we're going to do is, you can see on the post section or whatever, I already made one extra principal payment. So like I said, we're taking $100 every week off the top, and we're just leaving that in the bank account because that we had a $3,500 down payment from the personal account, so we're paying that back. There's 32 weeks remaining in the year from the start of this loan. So by the last week of the year, we'll be $300 short of paying ourselves back. So obviously we'll just do the first 3 weeks of next year if we're still paying the loan off. If not, hopefully we're not, but I'm assuming we will be. So then we take the first 100 and we skim off the top, we leave that in the bank, and then we take the rest and we apply that to the car. So we got the first one paid, and then in the bucket we got the second payment sitting there ready, 37, whatever it is. We got that sitting there ready to roll for when July 12th comes. The 384 was what was on top of that after this week was complete. So come next week, next Friday, whatever we make in week 4 will be a full principal payment towards that car. And we'll do that until we hit whatever week July 12th happens. And then when that happens, we'll be taking the 717 out of the bank account and paying that second payment. And then the principal, or then what we make during the week, will be put back into that until we build that 717 back up again. And then for the rest of that month, rinse and repeat, principal only. So that's how we're going to attack it. I don't know. Like I said, I like to see the principal go down. It's not like, it's saving a little bit of interest. We're losing a little more that we could have made because we can get 3.3 in the money market, but 3.319. I mean, we're talking $30. whatever, 30, 40 bucks. I'll trade one more day and I'll make up for that. Like I said, it's more of a mental thing for me. I like to see that balance go down. So that is what we got for this past week. And, like I said, we're going to head into this week and we're looking good already. We're already well above the weekly minimum, and we're, like I said, my goal at minimum is $500. Or like the goal at minimum is 180 some a week or whatever. But my minimum like personal goal is to get 500 a week. If I get 500 a week, that pays with the interest, that would pay it off in, let's see, 20. That'd be a little over a year. So actually we need a little more than $500 a week. But anyway, we're well on our way to there. We're over halfway there. So, we're going to have a good week. It's a short week. I think we got FMOC. So we are, or FOMC this week. It's late. I worked a long day today. But we got that this week. So I think we're going to see more red, which is good though, because we can get more IV, more volatility. We can still make money doing our 2-3 delta 300. We can be 4 percentage points off, still making our money. Easy trading. It's I like it. The easiest is when you get that summer doldrin where you can sell a 1.5% off spot put spread, and you basically never have to worry about it getting hit because it's summertime, and summertime's boring in the trading world. But we'll get there here, and once this war wraps up, if it wraps up, then we'll get to that point. But until then, we got to stay a little frosty, and they're not gonna raise rates. No matter what anybody says, they're not raising rates. They're not going to lower rates, but they're not. I can tell you this: they're not raising rates. They're not going to lower them until the war is done and we see a little bit reduction in inflation. But they're not raising rates. Don't listen to that bull crap. They're not going to. So we're going to have a good week. We're going to make some money. We're going to get another $500, $600, $700, hopefully $800 paycheck again. And we're going to keep attacking this car. And I can't wait to share the journey with you guys. We'll catch you next week for this our little chat, and enjoy the week and stay safe and stay frosty. Have a good one.